There is one God, God and I are one. There is one God, God God and I are one. Check. There is one God, God and I are one. One God and I are one. We're having a little sound issue. Everything that God is, I am. Everything that God is, I am. There is only one God, I am too. There is one God, God and I are one. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. There is one God, God and I are one. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you, God. There is one God, God and I are one. So in this moment, we take the breath and just rest into this space. Resting into the divine that is right here, right now. Recognizing that in this very moment, we are standing in the stillness. Can you hit the one on the Yamaha? Hit on. That's what happened. There we go. Yeah, it'll kick in. Thank you. So much. It's kind of like the world. So much right now. And pump up the volume a little bit. So much. On here, yeah. So much. So let me just get back to the center and rest in this space right now, knowing that all that there is God. That no matter what is going on, God is in it. And I am aware that in this magnificent space, new growth, new awareness, new understanding is happening now. So breathing into this and recognizing that there is only one God. No matter how many different expressions, there's one God and one thing going on. And so as we know that for ourselves, we are engaged with that in our food. And we're blessed to have some wonderful lights in the house to share the beauty and magnificence of food and love. So breathing that in, resting in this space, knowing that it is here and everywhere. Beautiful. So we're going to get ready to have Julie Diaz. I'll bring Julie up first. Hi, Julie.
Hi there. Hi, Gina.
I think Julie's mic is off as well. 13. Yes. 13. You'll see it says Kevin. And you hit the on. So we have a new intern, and I was rushing doing things. So let me hear.
All right, am I on?
I think you are on, just a little low. I'm sorry? The on button is blinking? There's select, and then there's on. Well, all right, Julie.
see.
Yeah,
Am I?
you're there. You're there. So we have all this beautiful food, and you
Yes.
brought a friend with you.
Have a friend.
Mary Ann?
And yes. It's
Come on
come
up,
and
Mary Ann.
Help me.
Yeah, I'm going to get back over there so I can see what's going on with the sound. I'm going to let Mary step in here. And don't you ladies be concerned about sound. Just be in the glow of the food, okay?
Yes, we will.
Thank you for being here.
All right, I don't want that in the middle, but I wanted it up here. We'll move it right there. Okay, so I don't feel like I'm on, but because I don't hear anything. What about now? I think I'm on now. Okay, so we have quite a spread here today. You know, if you've listened to the last couple of times, I've talked about making connections with food, and that's exactly what I did for this. I had no idea what I was going to prepare, and I went to the farmer's market and I saw it. I said, that is what I'm going to prepare. So I made my connection to the food. And I'm so glad that Mary Ann is here to help me. So I think we're just gonna get started because we're actually gonna cook. I'm gonna tell you what we're cooking. Gino, did you post the recipe? I did. Okay, so if you go to the website for Universal Spirit Center, then you'll see the recipe. It's just a basic recipe for a skillet dish. You can put whatever you want in it. Obviously, it's vegetables because that's what I use. But if you wanted to put anything else in there, maybe chicken or a little bit of fish, that would work as well. So, the basic recipe, we have some major feedback. Is that it? Okay. We got it. Yay. So the basic recipe for a skillet dish, I have onion and garlic and jalapeno. So that's what we're going to get started on. And I saw these sweet potatoes. And these are cute little sweet potatoes. I don't think I'm on now, but I saw these at the farmer's market. So we're going to use some sweet potatoes and okra. Got cute purple okra and green okra and some nice little tomatoes from the farmer's market. A little bit of fresh thyme. And Mary Ann brought the greens. I asked her to pick out some greens. So do you want to say what kind of greens you brought?
Sure. I just brought some dino kale as well as some Swiss chard.
Yeah. So you can use any kind of greens. You know, if you like collard greens, you can use collard greens. If you like spinach, if you're not really into the stronger flavored greens, spinach works just as well. You could even throw in cilantro or parsley. So we're going to get started, and we're just going to kind of talk about food and how food has become important in our lives. I think I may have talked about this, but maybe you didn't hear that I grew up with a bunch of cooks. My mom, my grandma, both of my grandmothers and my grandfather were all just. Do you want to do the onion? We're only going to use half of it, so I think more than that's going to be too much. I'm going to go ahead and turn on this burner because it takes a little bit of time for it to heat, and we don't want to. And I'm putting just a little bit of olive oil in the skillet over about medium little medium-high heat. And I'm going to just do some garlic while I'm talking. But so I was around a lot of food a lot of the time. Not always the healthiest of foods, because I'm from the South, so we had a lot of fried food, really salty and fried. So I've kind of changed the way I eat. But these foods are very familiar to me, sweet potatoes and okra and tomatoes, but I'm making it into something different than how I grew up. And before we got started, Marianne was telling me that these ingredients were some of the ingredients that they used in the food that when you were growing up. Do you want to tell us about that a little?
Sure. It's so interesting to see how we're connected through food. And I grew up as well eating some okra. We grew a lot of our vegetables. Hello? Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, I grew up with my grandmother planting a lot of the vegetables that we eat. And okra was definitely not necessarily something that we planted a lot. We did have an okra plant, but we grew a lot of our native plants that we have. I come from a Filipino culture, and so food is very important to us.
But you were telling me that there was a dish that you ate. Well, someone grew the food that you used in it.
Yes, that particular dish does involve okra. It has okra, a squash, as well as onions and garlic, very similar. Tomatoes. We do add eggplant and coconut milk.
And you said that another shrimp paste.
Oh, we do have a shrimp paste.
That's okay.
It's called bagoong, and it's used to salt or flavor our food. Yeah.
So you also were saying that in Filipino food, in the Philippines, maybe not when you go to a Filipino restaurant, that the meat actually is just a flavoring for the food, not the main part.
That's right. So a lot of our food is mostly rice and vegetables, and a very small portion of it is meat. Meat is something that's difficult for a lot of people to obtain, and we have a lot of seafood. So the meat, we use a small portion of it just to flavor the food.
So not like here, where meat is like the center of the meal, and the vegetables and other things are just sort of like an afterthought. So, and actually, in a lot of cuisines, that is how it is. How meat is just used as a flavoring, or just as a, to, like she said, the shrimp paste is to flavor and salt. Is this ready? Okay, we're going to do the sweet potatoes, because the sweet potatoes, the way this recipe goes, is you put the firm vegetables first, because they've got to cook the longest, and then we do the soft vegetables. So we're going to do and then at the very end you add the greens. So this is going to be cooking, and we'll get the sweet potatoes, and and on sweet potatoes you can peel them or not, and I think these do need to be peeled. They look a little bit rough. So we are going to peel those, or let's see. Yeah, I'm going to start chopping this. And also with the firm vegetables, I like to cut them small, because the smaller they're cut, the quicker they cook. And I'm really interested in getting it cooked. I don't want it to take a long time, so I really like small pieces. If you like larger pieces, that's fine. You can do that as well. Do you have sweet potatoes? Did you grow up eating sweet potatoes, Marianne, or was it mostly squash?
No, we do have sweet potatoes, and we also have purple yam. I guess there's a difference between sweet potatoes and yam.
Yes, there are. It is.
We have a lot of yams. Actually, you use a lot of yams for desserts.
Yeah. Yeah, many people here think that they're eating yams, but really what you get over here are sweet potatoes. They are a completely different vegetable. And I think in Asia and Africa, you easily get yams. Is that
Yeah.
so? Do you want to cut them? Let's wait for the tomatoes. We're just going to get the sweet potatoes, and I'm not sure if we're going to want all of the sweet potatoes. Maybe.
Knife.
Oh, did I not put? Oh, here it is. It's hidden under the cutting board. So yeah, and I grew up with sweet potatoes, but the kind of sweet potatoes that we always had were sweet. They, were sweetened. And I actually like them in a savory way instead of in a sweet way because they're already a little bit sweet. And I don't think you need to add any more sweetener to it. But, sweet potatoes were either candied or for Thanksgiving you put brown sugar or marshmallows. That was my favorite because I actually like the marshmallow part and not the sweet potatoes. So, you agree? Yeah. It was not until I started cooking myself and found out that you don't have to add that sugar to the sweet potatoes that I actually liked sweet potatoes because I guess I just didn't think, I liked the sweet part of it, but I didn't like the sweet potato part of it until I started making it more savory. And this dish is going to be a savory dish because we're not going to add any sweet to it. So Marianne, did you have any favorite foods, favorite vegetables growing up, or what?
I just loved our garden. We, depending on where we were living at the time, because my father was in the military, we had all kinds of fruits growing in our garden, peach trees. I'd say in terms of a vegetable,
Well, fruit or vegetable? Do you have a favorite fruit?
I don't think I have a favorite fruit at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, growing up, did you have a favorite?
Peaches.
Peaches. That is a great fruit. So while Marianne is doing the rest of the sweet potatoes, oh, you're done. I'm going to add those in, and there we go. Okay, we're going to start doing okra. A lot of people are really kind of afraid of okra because it has a bad reputation, or bad rap, I guess. Has been given a bad rap because a lot of people associate it with like a slimy, gooey thing. And actually, if it's cooked in a different way, it's not like that at all. I think the key to it is that you want to get small ones like this because they're tender. The big ones are a little bit tough, and you don't cook it for very long. So I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can see at all, but I'm cutting the top part. You cut the top part off, and you cut the bottom part off because this, if you leave this part on, it's kind of hard. So you just cut the tops off and the bottoms off, and then you slice them. And there is a little bit of slime in there, but it's okay. It's going to cook out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So that's okra
Yes.
that you were cutting?
Yes.
And so are there ways to get the slime out to not have it so slimy?
Okay. Well, you can see that this is not really that slimy. Cutting it, sometimes it gets slimy, but cooking it this way,
Yes.
sauteed in like this, it's not going to be slimy.
You promise?
I promise. I promise.
I mean, it smells delicious in here, but I'm not a big fan of okra.
Well, growing up, we had okra two ways.
Okay.
Well, actually three ways. One was boiled, which was like a big slime fest, and I would not touch that.
So you see what I'm saying
Yeah,
here.
because what do you expect? You're boiling it, so it's got all that slime. The other way was to put it in soups, which I would pick it out because I associated the slime with the okra. The third way was fried, and you can eat anything fried.
Would bacon go along with that?
Fried? Probably, yeah. So I could eat fried okra as a child, and also we didn't say okra. In the South, you say okra. I didn't know.
Where are you from?
I'm from Louisiana,
Ah.
and we say North Louisiana. I don't know about South Louisiana. We say okra, so I didn't know that there was another way to say it until I left the South, and people are like, "What's okra?" Like,
You know.
that slimy stuff that nobody likes.
Great.
So, yeah, and I actually only learned to eat, well, in South Louisiana, there's gumbo, which always has okra in it. And I didn't really eat it because, like I said, I thought it was going to be slimy, so I would pick it out. Marianne's done, and I've only done like 3. But when I started cooking more plants, which has been, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, I learned to eat okra. And my family was a little skeptical because they knew about the slimy part, and they, just sort of picked at it. And then they were like, well, this isn't that bad. So it really does make a difference how it's prepared. So this is not going to be slimy. And let's see, Marianne, if you want to do the tomatoes, this actually is a very southern ingredient dish. But you would never find this in the South because people don't cook it this way. But all these ingredients are very, very Southern. So,
I have to ask. I didn't hear. What is it that you're making?
It's called a skillet dish.
A skillet dish.
Yes, it's the recipe that you have.
Yes.
That's on your website.
Yes.
It's called Basic Skillet Dish, and it tells you how to. You have firm vegetables and soft vegetables. So the sweet potatoes were the firm vegetables, and the okra and the tomatoes are the soft vegetables. And there we go. I said that I'm a messy cook.
Runaway okra.
Cooking is not complete for me unless I'm throwing the food all over the place. So, yeah, I always have to go clean up the floor afterwards because, sometimes at home I cook barefoot, and sometimes the food lands on my feet. But anyway, it's all right. It's all good. I enjoy what I'm doing, and that's the important part about cooking. I wish you could see this. It's so pretty. I don't know if I can hold it. That's what I was going to say. If I can hold it, I can't even see. Here we go. Where's this one? Okay, can you see that? Really pretty. And then when we get these tomatoes in here, it's going to be even prettier. So, go. Typically, I let everything cook a certain amount of time, but I know we're on a time schedule, so I'm just going to throw it all in together, and it can cook towards the end. Yeah, we're gonna, if you're not here, you're missing it because we're eating this when we're finished, and it's gonna be good. So another thing, okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do the stems of the chard, but the kale we're gonna destem. With chard, you can actually, you can cook the kale stems too, but it takes a long time for them to get tender. So the chard stems will get tender. So we're going to go ahead and just, yeah.
Okay.
And kind of just slice, like chiffonade. We're going to use a fancy term, chiffonade, which basically is like thin strips of the greens. So we'll do that. But what I was going to say is that this is not, these are southern ingredients. I need to turn this down because we're starting to get a little too much heat on there. These are southern ingredients, but I'm not going to season it in a southern way. These are my favorite, some of my favorite. I have so many favorites. Cumin and coriander are my favorite combos for a lot of things. They have kind of an earthy, the cumin is a very earthy taste, and you find this in a lot of cuisines. You find it in Mexican food, you find it in Indian food, you find it in, what else, help me, all over the world, really. Mexican, Indian. Pick it up again.
Oh, there you go.
To see.
Can you see that?
Can you see here? This one?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Beautiful. So, so I love to put these in a lot of things. The other is African. African cuisine has cumin and coriander too. Middle Eastern, also the same. And I'm going to put a little bit of cayenne and then some salt and pepper. And yes.
You said it wouldn't be seasoned that way if it was Southern. How would a Southerner season it?
With bacon,
Hey now.
with ham hock,
Ooh.
with a lot of salt on top of those things that are already salty. That's pretty much it. So, and we're also going to put some fresh thyme in there, which the fresh thyme is super easy. Not anything to be intimidated. You just grab the stem and you pull the leaves off like that. And then the tender part at the end, you can eat. You could eat the stems too. Can you see the? You could eat the stem, but it's a little bit hard. I wouldn't want that. But what I was saying is the very tender part at the end can be chopped up and it'll be really nice added in here. We're going to add the greens at the very end. No. We're going to add it before. We have two other things we're going to add to this dish. And this is what makes it a full meal, is we're going to put some rice, and we're going to put some black-eyed peas, which is another southern thing. I was actually not thinking to put black-eyed peas in it, and I thought, well, of course I should put black-eyed peas in it because this is all southern ingredients, so let's put some black-eyed peas. I like to put the seasonings in before I add the black-eyed peas and the rice. And I forgot my measuring spoon, so I'm going to be just kind of putting it in my hand. But basically, with this amount of food, about a half a teaspoon of salt will be good. If we need to add salt, we can add it later. I don't want to add it and then say, oh, it's too salty. And the same for the cumin is about a half a teaspoon. So I'm just kind of eyeballing that. maybe a little more because I love cumin. There we go.
It smells so good.
And coriander, I usually put half the amount as I do the cumin. So since I added almost a teaspoon of the cumin, maybe I'll do about quarter to a half a teaspoon of the coriander. And I'm not going to measure this in my hand, the cayenne. I'm going to do it in my, because I'd rub my face later and be sorry that I did that. I mean, I already chopped jalapeno with no gloves, but that's okay. So I'm going to put a little more than a pinch and stir that around. And then we're going to put I think we'll put the rice. Did I say we were going to put that in first before the rice?
Yes.
Okay. See, it doesn't really matter. You just do whatever. You know, cooking is not an exact science. It's just whatever you feel, however you feel. That's what you cook. And the more you do it, the more you get the feel of it. So, you know, separate that. There we go. I think I should have brought a bigger pot because this is yeah, we've got tons of greens. And that's another thing that I have started adding. I put greens in everything. I mean, even if it doesn't call for greens, I'm like, well, I'm going to put greens in there because I think we need greens. Do you eat a lot of greens in the Filipino food?
Oh,
Is
yes.
that a lot of
We
greens
have a lot of
in there?
greens.
What kind of greens do you have? I know, you know, we think there's like 4 different kinds of greens. There's like 500 different kinds of greens.
We eat a lot of different parts of the plant as well. So the leaves, for example, of the squash or the yams, we also eat long string beans. What else? Bok choy. That's kind of identifiable.
Yeah.
A type of bean that's called sitaw, vatao. So. They don't have them here. There's a type of bean that's kind of furry, and that's called vatao. And the sitaws are the large or the long string beans. And so I grew up kind of growing them in our garden, and we would just pick them from our garden and would be able to have a dish that's from our home country.
Nice. So you grew it here?
Yeah. I grew up in San Diego, so we grew up here.
Well, I know that some farmers markets have some more like ethnic type produce, like the Mira Mesa Farmers Market. There was I think they were Filipino, I'm not sure. They always had so many people at their booth, and I didn't recognize anything that they sold. So
Bitter melon, that's pretty
yeah.
common.
Okay.
And, great for diabetes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just pour this in.
Bitter melon.
I have some of the juice or the liquid from cooking, which is going to help to cook some of the sweet potatoes if they're not quite done. And it also helps to bring the dish together. So if you don't have any liquid from your beans or whatever you're adding, you could also just put water or vegetable stock instead. But I mean, why waste the liquid from the black-eyed peas? Okay, that looks great. I think we're gonna have to feed some people maybe walking by, or I didn't bring any to-go containers. And now we're gonna add the rice. And then we're going to just put the lid on it for a little bit. And I don't know, maybe we can just talk about, do you have any like favorite food memories growing up? Marianne, I can talk about.
Yeah, every holiday was amazing because my parents, my father, my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt all lived with us, and we would cook together. So we would cook until midnight. And I grew up just, making our own decorations out of carrots and things like that. And so I was very comfortable at a young age with a knife, and we would, carve out roses. And, it was a really sort of special occasion whenever we would make food together.
All right. I'm going to just put the top on this. And as I was saying, I had my grandmother, one of my grandmothers, my dad's mother. There were 11 kids in their family. So she cooked there were no small meals in her house, and she would just fix up a mess of whatever. That's what I'm gonna fix up a mess of beans, and and we'd sit down and have a wonderful meal. And then my other grandmother cooked, but I remember more my grandfather cooking. He always had wonderful soups and stews, and the big thing was a fish fry. So he'd go fishing, come back, and the men would go out on the front porch with the deep fryer and fry the fish and the hush puppies, and the women were inside making all the potato salad and all this stuff to go with the fish fry. And we'd sit and, because this was in the South, it was hot, we'd come in and eat because it was a little bit warm to sit outside. But I just remember doing that so much. And then go outside and have watermelon on the front porch. No spoons or forks or anything, just the watermelon. And we couldn't do that inside because they'd put the newspaper down on the porch, and we would just eat that watermelon. And yeah, you did. Except I was a little picky as a child, and so I was using my finger to get those seeds out because I didn't want them in my mouth. But yeah.
Yeah, I have a pet peeve about watermelon. My husband's father also slices them up and just eats them right there, on top of a sink, and I have to get and chop it up into pieces and then serve it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that wasn't, you didn't eat it like that at all. My dad we'd have a watermelon in the refrigerator. My parents actually had 2 refrigerators. The watermelon went into the one that was out in the storage room, because the watermelons were this big around. So, and he'd just cut it and put it in a plate and use a spoon and just eat it. But yeah, I'm with you. I want it cubed, and
cubed.
I don't want to eat it like that.
Well, I'm one of those people that we ate the watermelon outside, and because I had cousins, all the seeds we would spit at one another, which was so much fun. And then you had to swallow a couple so that the watermelon could grow. You could grow a watermelon tree inside of you. That was the most important thing. But I love that you're talking about this, because combining food with memories and the spiritual aspect of that, there's a joy that is on both of your faces right now as you're reminiscing. So as you're thinking about that, how has food played a role in your life to be this space that brought family together or friends?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
But it's certainly a way to nourish our relationships with each other. Until today, my brothers all love to cook. And when I'm tired, I head over to their house, and we all cook together. So it's a weekend event that we, it's a way to say I love you without having to vocalize those words.
Yeah, food was always a big part of our life growing up. Maybe I didn't realize it when I was growing up, but food was like the central theme in our lives. Our lives revolved around the kitchen and the food, And of course, it was the women that were typically in the kitchen doing the cooking while the men were, watching TV or whatever.
Well, now that's an interesting question because most chefs are men.
Yes.
Most executive chefs, I mean, I love watching the cooking shows.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting how that translated because a lot of times the women are the ones at home cooking, but out in the world, it's the man.
Yes.
How?
How did
Julie? How did it happen?
How did
Explain
that happen? Well, men actually, there's some men that like to cook. And, for a long time, women weren't expected to go out in the world to earn a living. And so the men that liked cooking, saw that as an opportunity, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think happened, is that men went out and took over the cooking world, in restaurants and things. But if you think about it, actually, like small restaurants from other countries, a lot of those are women, that immigrated here and they knew how to cook and they wanted to provide for their families, so they would start a restaurant cooking their food. But the more mainstream, I guess, restaurants ended up being men. But you are seeing more women.
Absolutely. I mean, the food industry has really changed cooking in so many ways, and people are appreciating what it takes to prep a meal, to be able to not just bring food, but all the colors that you put in your meal that bring about such beautifuln's.
I don't know if we can, we're looking at Gina.
Yeah, we're looking at me right now.
All right.
Hey. So, my question here. I know that you have taught young people how to cook. What did you find was one of the main things that a young person enjoyed about cooking?
That they actually got to touch the food, feel the food, and I wanted to make sure that they could taste in all steps of the cooking. I mean, sometimes we would have carrots or we would have kale. It's amazing. Kids like to eat kale just like this. And we didn't have any to put in the dish because they ate it all while we were preparing it. There were a number of times when I had several carrots and we would be on the last carrot. I'm like, okay, we can't eat anymore because this is the only carrot left, and I really want it in the. And if they ate it, then I'm like, oh, okay. And that's one thing, and the fact that they have actually helped to prepare it got a lot of them to eat. So, and I think that's the same with adults. If the adults would just try it, feel the food, we'd smell the food, like I said, taste it as we're going along. I mean, there's some things you can't, like, there was one child that wanted to try onion, and I let them, and they, it was not a pleasant experience, but I was like, okay, if you want to, go ahead. But I think if adults did the same thing and actually got to feel the food and experience the food, they might be more willing to try it.
To that point, they have said that people in Europe, their diet is much heavier in a lot of ways than ours, but their health is so much better because when they have a meal, they stop and sit and eat the meal, versus here in the States, we can run from one place with another with something hanging out our mouth, drinking something, belching at the same time, and we go, oh, I just had lunch.
Right.
And so, it was so beautiful to hear that as you do take the time to smell your food, to hear yourself chew. They even said that if you're in front of the TV watching something and eating, you don't hear yourself chewing. So you tend to eat more because everything's all related. I love that how everything is so spiritually connected that there's this vice of us not overeating if we could just listen to ourselves chewing. I was
Yes.
like, wow, that's super awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, mindful eating is a big thing. Not many people do it in this country.
No.
But you're right. I
I'm
mean,
excited because I just learned about it.
Yeah, you're right that when you're not, it's not just hearing yourself chew, but thinking about and feeling what you're eating and experiencing. And another thing that to help you be more mindful is think about who grew your food. You know, who prepared it. If you bought something at a restaurant, think about someone cooked that for you and you're eating it. It's not just something out of a box, or maybe it is out of a box. I don't know.
But there's prep in that as well.
Right. So, and I was going to say also about in Europe, they're eating what's called real food. You know, they're not. They go to the market and they buy ingredients. Maybe they do go to a restaurant, but it's probably prepared from real food. You know, not some processed whatever.
Yeah.
And yes, they do have processed food there, but it's not to the same extent
Right.
as here.
Yeah.
It's not. They did a survey that when they start listing things from, let's say, the 50s or 40s, what our food was like at that time versus now. So to make a loaf of bread, or I think it was a bagel, the sugar amount at that time, don't quote me on these figures, but it was something around 2 or 3% of sugar. Now it's up to like 25% is sugar and salt. And so I was like, oh, I don't eat that many processed foods, but everything. And so we do have to be really mindful. And all these things were done to sell more food, to have you eat more of the things. And so it is a big difference. In Europe, eating food there, even if you eat a heavy meal, it digests so much faster.
Yeah.
The digestion of it is so much faster. And the aroma of the food,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because you're around people that do take the time and you see the joy in the appreciation of food, and you remember that this is just not something to do. This is a beautiful opportunity to either sit with friends or by yourself or with family to share this meal.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you're by yourself, you can still enjoy your meal. I mean, I don't want to say obviously, but you know, eating with other people can be not so pleasant. However, if the love and the joy and the experience is brought to the forefront, then with other people, yes, it's a great way to connect and find common, like talk about family, or maybe talk about food memories and maybe family memories. Again, not everyone has pleasant family memories, but I'm sure that there's something that's there that can bring you joy and connection. So I just think that it's so important to connect to what you're eating and to the people that you're with and the people that have grown it. I think that's so important because they're often forgotten. That's another reason why I like to go to the farmers market, as I connect with the people that grow the food. Like the things that I brought, I know who grew them. I talked to them on Saturday and Sunday when I bought it. So. I've been to one of their farms. I haven't been to both, but so I know where it grew, and I just find that so important.
I hear you're getting ready to endeavor into a new food challenge. What is that?
Um, well, I'm actually endeavoring into two. One is that I have a 21 days of plant-based meals that I'm going to be presenting soon. I haven't got the date set yet because my other food adventure is that I'm going to Mississippi.
We're going to miss her.
My mom lives there and needs some help. So I'm the only one that can go and do that. So I'm going to have an adventure there. Hopefully, I'm going to be, well, I know, there's no hope about it. I know that I'm going to go and connect to some farmers there and hopefully teach some or inspire. I don't like to say that I teach people. I like to say I inspire people to cook in a different way and look at food in a different way. So that's it. Do you want to see this?
Yes,
Yeah, let's see what it looks like.
let's get a shot of that. Let's see what it is.
Can you see?
Smells so good.
And I think it's all done. And this is a full meal, so you don't need anything else, in my opinion. So, all right. So I have really enjoyed being here and, cooking with Universal Spirit Center, and I hope that I'm able to come back sometime, and maybe even we could do some virtual things, who knows? And I will give Gino all the information about the 21 days of plant-based meals, and it's going to be an online thing, virtual, so, if you want to sign up for it, and I'd love to. I know Marianne is going to do it.
Yes, I'm very excited. And I just wanted to say thank you, Julie, because it's going to be your last week here. And Julie was the person who introduced us to reconnecting to our food. She invited us, me and my family, and my two little girls, to a farm in Puma Valley. And that took us on a little food adventure. And we, would like to incorporate that regularly in our lives. So thank you, Julie.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. So,
That is so awesome. I want to say this is beautiful. Marianne, it's a joy meeting you. You were a beautiful sous chef, working it out. Julie, you will be missed. It is short-lived, our time together, but I am knowing you're in the perfect and divine space with you and your mom, and when you decide to come back, let's get back at it, sister. Let's get back at
definitely.
it. There's many
It's
to do.
fun.
So let's give Julie and Marianne a lot of love. While that's simmering, we're going to get ready to just give thanks to everyone. And Julie, just because I'm going to give you a hug, and there we go. I'm glad each and every one of you are out there and supporting us. Universal Spirit Center does a mighty work, and you are important to that work. So we thank you for being here with us and being a part of everything that we do. Oh, I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, the mistakes in the past. I am here and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? All is well, all is well, all I've been touched by the Spirit. I am led by the divine. Peace and happiness is yours and mine. I am blessed and so are you. Don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Now take a look at all the ways that you can support Universal Spirit Center. You can see us on PayPal. You can send a check, donate, text the button. We are grateful to each and every one of you for all that you do. Yeah. And so let me catch you up with some of the things that are going on here at Universal Spirit Center. One of the things you want to be aware of is practicing the presence with Lauren Grace. Well, it's all right. Our media team is growing and expanding, and I'm very grateful and thankful for all of that. The practitioner orientation that will take place next Sunday. So we have an installation for practitioners, and after that, we know that you'll want to be a part of that. You'll want to know what it's like. And so Reverend Kevin and Lee Armantrod will be across the street at our office, and you can understand what it takes to be a practitioner here at Universal Spirit Center. The movie of the month is a documentary called Time. This is a powerful true story. We're going to have it right here at the Lions Club the 17th of this month. Come at 6 o'clock, get your popcorn and your juice. And at 6:30, we'll show the movie. And then one of the most beautiful things, after the movie, we unpack it and we talk about it and discuss it. How great it is. Also, our beloved Christine Thompson is offering a class, spiritual practice class, and it's coming up, I think, September the 14th. Make sure you go on our web page and check it out to sign up. She's a powerful, powerful teacher. So yes, let's breathe that in. Touched by the Spirit and led by the divine. Oh, freedom all the time, because you know that all is well. All is well. All is well. Unfolding here right now. I want to thank each of you. Linda, thank you so much for being here tonight. And as always, Julie, thank you for hosting Cook for Peace. It was short-lived, but such a wonderful night. Marianne, thank you for being here. I know we had some sound techs tonight. We have our new media man in the house, and it's technology. It's just part of it, but I know you had an opportunity to smell the aroma, osmosis. We're going to dig into this food. I'm excited because I haven't eaten dinner, so this will be my dinner tonight. Yay, yay, yay. We will see you next Wednesday. What I did mention was Kitchen Conversations. Kitchen Conversations will be dealing with children of color. Are they penalized more in our legal system? Powerful, powerful, powerful Kitchen Conversations. You don't want to miss it. So let's take this breath. Let's thank Doug for being here tonight. Thank you, Doug. Doing a great job back there. Don't you know that all is well? everybody.